road trip?
Well, we're going to ditch the tricorns, and we're going to check out an archaeological site here at historic Jamestown.
Archaeological? I could dig that, buddy.
All right. Well, here you go.
All right. After you. For 2 decades, the Jamestown Rediscovery Archaeological Project has brought to vivid life the stories of early James Fort. Mariana and Dave are the senior staffers on site.
Do you, Nick, wish to learn about the birthplace of American history?
I do.
And do you, Brian, want to learn about the importance of Jamestown in America's past?
I do.
Well, let's do it, guys. All right, here we are in the chancel of the 1608 church. And right here in front of us, John Rolfe and Pocahontas in 1614 got married. Right in front of this chancel rail.
Right here?
Right here. This is the Ellis Island of English North America, and the people coming through here, it's pretty important to them.
And they always see a lot of visitors who want to walk in the footsteps of the colonists of the past.
For those of you that think that America is younger than Europe, you're not considering Native American ancestry.
Places like Spain, Russia, other places, they're much older, right? They go back much deeper in terms of European settlement, okay? Virginia Indians, we go back 15,000 years.
Mariana takes us back to the very beginning of U.S. history.
We are standing inside a memorial building that was built over the ruins of 3 historic churches at Jamestown. So these are the ones that stood here from 1617 until the 1750s. Okay, the earliest church that was built here was a wooden structure, and we have documents that tell us the important events that took place. The main one that took place in here was the meeting of the first government in this country, the General Assembly. So we had 22 burgesses who were all representing their little part up and down the James River near Jamestown, and they came here to this church on July 30th, 1619.
Back then, believer or non-believer, everyone went to church.
Anyone who was at Jamestown would have met and convened in this building, at least for worship services. But also, government and church and state are not split at the time. So your government is meeting in this building as well. It's the most convenient space at the time.
And church wasn't only for the living, because if you were wealthy enough,
a lot of the high status individuals would pay a lot of money to be buried inside the church. It's very sacred ground, and you want it to be as close as you could be to the altar in a lot of cases. So a lot of the chancel here behind us to the east is full of graves.
Just a few feet from where the church stands, Mariana and team are unmasking a cellar kitchen from the early 1600s.
They would stick in little kindling and so forth, fire it up. The interior of that oven space would absorb the heat. And then after that burned down to ash, you'd scrape it onto the floor. And that's what I'm standing on, is every time someone used these ovens, they were scraping the kindling that had burned down onto the floor. So you can see the burning up here at the top of this, and then this brick kind of facade in the front of the oven.
So how do you tell the difference in time periods once the relics are discovered?
A lot of it's pottery, which changes over time, just like automobiles change today. Everybody can tell the difference in 50 years of time in your automobiles. The same thing happens back then. Pottery forms change, and so a lot of what our curators are good at is looking at a piece of ceramic and saying, this is the type of jug it came from, or the type of bowl, and that was used between this period and this period. Sometimes you're lucky enough and you get a coin, and so after this date is when this was filled in.
Our boy Dave does us a solid.
So it's one thing to talk about the artifacts and all that, but why don't we go see some of the things we find, because that is what the past is really about, seeing the actual things that the colonists owned and worked with over time.
Now entering the vault.
These artifacts that are in front of you are out of John Smith's well, which was dug in 1608 and 9 and backfilled in 10. We can listen to this thing. You hear that noise?
I do.
That's the sound that Pocahontas heard when she was in the fort, because this went up and down, drawing water out. That's the thing that archaeology affords you. You actually can listen to the past. This is the original Bermudian top shell, and it was brought over here as food or as a collector item. And here's a 3D printed version that you can actually hold.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Yep, that one's over 400 years old, and that one is
4 months.
4 months, yeah.
Modern technology.
Love it.
Coming up next on Road Trip Masters, we'll try not to speed,
as we discover Honeymead
So just sit back, you'll see us kayak.
when Road Trip Masters returns.